Ever feel like you've got all the pieces, like you've got all the right ingredients for growth, but you just can't seem to actually get things going?
Right.
Today's deep dive is all about cultivating your own garden of life.
Yeah.
And we're going to be using a unique tarot spread to kind of dig into what makes us flourish.
And, just like a garden needs that perfect balance of elements, we're actually drawing on 3 different decks for this spread. So we're looking at a traditional tarot deck. We've got a Thanksgiving theme deck
Oh,
and one that's, well, let's just say it's a little more sassy.
okay, I like it. A little spice thrown in there. All right, so we'll be your guides through this garden of wisdom as we kind of unearth what these cards have to say to us.
Yeah. Think of it as getting like 3 different perspectives, right, on your own personal growth journey. It can be really illuminating, to say the least.
I love that. Okay, so let's jump right in. Our first card here, this is really setting the stage for the entire reading, and it's all about planting the seed. So we're talking about those foundational elements in your life. The stuff that needs a little bit of love, a little TLC. And get this, we pulled the Four of Cups.
Okay.
But right alongside it is the Corn card, which represents the Ace of Pentacles in this Thanksgiving-themed deck.
Interesting. Okay.
And then, of course, the Sassy deck swoops in, Gotta love it with stop overthinking it and just start.
Oh, I love that. It's almost as if the cards can sense when, like, we're just stuck in our heads, you know what I mean? And the Four of Cups, often associated with contemplation, can sometimes really point to that feeling of analysis paralysis.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. It's like you've got a million tabs open in your brain, but you're not actually doing anything with all that information.
Exactly. And that's where I feel like the Corn card comes in with such a powerful message about potential. The Ace of Pentacles, which we see represented here by the Corn, is all about those new beginnings, the promise of abundance. Much like a seed holds that potential for a whole plant.
But potential, just like that unplanted seed, needs action to really take root, right? It needs to thrive.
100%. You've got to nurture it. You've got to actually do something with it. And I love how the Sassy deck just cuts right to the chase. The message may be a little blunt, but it's so true. Sometimes you just have to take that first step, even if it feels, a little imperfect.
Oh, it's so true. And that actually reminds me of that saying, the longest journey begins with a single step. So for everyone listening, what seeds have you been meaning to plant in your own life? What's a one step, I don't care how big or small, that you can take today, like right now, to get things growing?
Right. And don't be afraid to get your hands dirty a little bit. Even the most, seasoned gardener, they all started somewhere.
Right. So true. Okay, now that we've got our seeds planted, at least metaphorically,
Right.
let's move on to our second card. This one's all about building a strong support system.
Yeah, because even the sturdiest plants, they need a little help sometimes, right, to reach their full potential. And this is where I think this whole Three Sisters analogy, it clicks.
I love it. Okay, so for the vine of support, we have a really interesting combo. The Lovers from the traditional deck,
Oh.
the Bean card from the Thanksgiving deck, which represents the Three of Pentacles.
Gotcha.
And naturally, the Sassy deck chimes in with, you guessed it, stop trying to do it all alone, genius.
I love how those cards just work together. Like they're having a whole conversation highlighting how important connection and collaboration are. I mean, the Lover's card, yeah, it's often associated with, partnerships. But it goes beyond just the romantic, It's about finding that alignment and harmony with others.
It's like this understanding that we're not meant to go through life solo,
Yeah.
We all need people in our corner who get us, who support us, and, even challenge us to grow.
For sure. Think about all those, classic duos.
Mm-hmm.
Peanut Butter and Jelly, Batman and Robin, even the Sun and the Moon. Each one, it's like they complement each other, make the other one stronger just by being there.
That's such a good point. And when we look at the Bean card here, which is representing the Three of Pentacles, I love this. We see this beautiful illustration of collaboration in action, because the Three of Pentacles is often connected to teamwork, apprenticeship, learning from the people around us. And then that imagery of the bean needing the cornstalk to grow, I mean, it really just brings it all home.
It does, doesn't it? It's like this powerful reminder that asking for help, that's not a weakness, right? If anything, that's wisdom.
Right.
And who better to remind us of that than the Sassy deck? I mean, stop trying to do it all alone. Genius.
Yeah.
Maybe a little harsh.
Yeah.
But the message is clear. You don't have to be a lone wolf to actually succeed.
And sometimes, genius, you need more than one sidekick. Am I right?
Totally. Sometimes it's like a whole posse, a whole team of people in your corner, and that's more than okay.
Yeah.
It's about knowing what you're good at and not being afraid to say, hey, I could use a little help with this.
So true. So for you listening, I'm curious, who are your corn stalks? Who are those people or even resources that you can lean on when you need to?
Yeah, who's in your support network?
Is it a mentor? Is it a friend, a family member? Maybe even, a really supportive online community,
Right.
or even like a really good book or a podcast,
Totally. Or all of the above, right? It all counts.
It really does. The main takeaway here is you don't have to navigate this whole journey by yourself.
100%.
Okay, so are you ready to harvest the fruits of your labor?
I love it.
Because our final card today brings us to the celebration of all that hard work that you've been putting in.
This is where we see, that abundance of your garden just like bursting forth.
Mhm. And for the harvest, we've got a trio of cards here that just scream good vibes.
Okay.
We've got the Sun card from the traditional deck,
Nice.
the Squash card from the Thanksgiving deck representing the Nine of Pentacles,
Okay.
and the Sassy deck, never one to disappoint, comes in hot with, "You're a fucking star, own it."
I mean, come on. I love it. It's like the cards are throwing you a party.
They really are, like full-on confetti and everything. And, the Sun card, it's such a powerful symbol. Joy, success, just that deep sense of inner fulfillment,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like basking in the warmth of all the amazing things you've accomplished and just taking a moment to appreciate how far you've come.
Yeah. And it's not even just about like reaching the finish line. It's about realizing how strong you are,
Yeah,
that you made it through the ups and downs.
that's a really good point.
You weathered the storms and you came out even brighter.
Love that. And the Squash card here, representing the Nine of Pentacles, it adds this whole other layer of like abundance,
Yeah.
right? Enjoying what you've created. The Nine of Pentacles is often about, maybe material wealth and security, but also that feeling of like independence and self-sufficiency,
Yeah.
knowing that you have the power to create your own abundance.
It's that I did this feeling.
Yes.
Both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
You took those dreams, you took care of them,
Yeah.
you nurtured them, and look at what you grew. Now you get to enjoy it.
And leave it to the Sassy deck, always the hype man of the group, to swoop in with that final boost of confidence. You're a fucking star, own it. I mean, sometimes we need to hear that, right?
We do. It's so easy to get caught up in like what we haven't done yet that we forget to celebrate all the wins along the way.
That is so true. So for everyone listening, take a second to think about that. What are your harvests right now? Like, what are you celebrating in your life? What are you proud of accomplishing?
Yeah. And how can you like really own those victories?
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe it's telling someone you're close to about it, treating yourself to something special, or even just like sitting with that feeling of pride for a minute. Let it really sink in.
It's all about recognizing, hey, you're on the right path and you've got this. You have the strength, the resilience, you've got the support to create a life that feels truly abundant. And
Exactly.
it's like this beautiful cycle, this cycle of growth and renewal. And the best part is it's all yours. It's your journey.
What I love about this spread and about the three sisters themselves, honestly, is that none of it happens alone. Just like those plants, we do better together.
Yeah, it's like we're all part of this massive, intricate ecosystem, right? And we all bring something unique to the table. We all have our own gifts and talents to share with the world.
Absolutely. And when we open ourselves up to receiving support, kind of like those beans reaching for that sturdy corn stalk, we're really opening ourselves up to a world of possibilities.
This has been amazing, such a rich and insightful journey through the garden of self-discovery. But as we kind of start to wrap things up, I want to leave you with a few things to think about. What seeds are calling to you right now? Those seeds that are just like begging to be planted, begging to grow.
Yeah. And what about those support systems? Who are your corn stalks? The people you can lean on as you nurture those seeds and help them reach their full potential.
And last but not least, how are you going to celebrate your own harvest? When the time comes, what's your confetti moment going to look like?
Because remember, this whole cultivating your garden of life thing, it's a journey, not a destination. So embrace the process, celebrate the wins, big and small, and never, ever be afraid to ask for a little help along the way.
Your journey is yours to create, so get out there and make it amazing. And until next time, happy gardening, everyone.
Okay, so get ready for this. Today's deep dive, it's
It's a personalized tarot reading,
wow.
but it's focused on spiritual awakening and ancestral connection.
Okay.
And now before you think, whoa, wait, hold on a second, that's a little too
Yeah.
too woo for me.
Sure.
We're approaching this more like a thought experiment.
Okay.
So 3 cards, 3 different decks.
Okay.
We're here to unpack the insights, right? Not to predict your future or anything like that.
Right. It's like we're using these ancient symbols, these cards, as a mirror, and we're using them to reflect back patterns and potential
I love that, using it as a mirror.
that we might not, be able to see otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've got a traditional deck. We've got a sassy modern one. Gotta love those. Those are always good for some street talking wisdom.
Right.
And get this, a Thanksgiving themed deck.
Oh, wow.
Because who doesn't love a little introspection
Right.
with their turkey, right?
It's like well, the blend is really fascinating because it's like each deck is adding its own voice
Yeah.
to the conversation. So we end up with a richer, understanding of the message.
Okay, so first up, what aspect of your spiritual self, right? Yours needs a little spark. Our sassy deck friend did not come to play.
Uh-huh.
It's serving up the get off your ass and meditate card.
Now, well, I chuckled at that one, but it does cut to the chase.
Yeah.
There's this misconception that spiritual awakening is a passive process.
Right.
This card is like, nope, you got to put in the
Yeah,
work.
you got to put in the work. And it's not just about lighting a candle and hoping for the best.
Right.
It's like, what are some tangible things that people can do to bring that energy of action into their lives? Even if they're, new to meditation or they haven't really tried it before. What do you suggest?
It can be as simple as taking 5 minutes a day.
Okay.
The key is really consistency. Think of it like you're building a muscle. You wouldn't expect to just walk into the gym and bench press 100 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Start small, be kind to yourself, and just notice how even those few minutes can shift your energy throughout the day.
So it's about building a relationship, in a way, with yourself, right? Creating space to listen to that inner voice.
Precisely. And this idea of actively seeking guidance connects beautifully with what we're seeing in the traditional deck, which pulled the Hermit card
Okay.
for this same position.
Right.
It's that classic image of introspection, of going inward to find the truth.
So we've got this really sassy, in-your-face, call to action with that card.
Right.
Paired with, this quiet contemplation of the hermit. It's like they're two sides of the same coin. It's pushing us to both act and reflect.
Right.
And then to add even another layer to it, the Thanksgiving deck, it chimes in with the sacred drum.
Oh, interesting.
What's the vibe we're getting there?
Well, the sacred drum, especially in this context, it really speaks to the rhythm of life.
Mm-hmm.
That pulse of creation that exists within each of us.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into that primal energy, that spark of something that's bigger than ourselves.
Okay, so we talked about, igniting that inner spark, that sacred flame, right?
Mm-hmm.
But awakening, that's just the first step, isn't it?
Right.
So what about all the stuff,
Yeah.
the stuff that's holding us back, from really letting that light shine through?
Exactly. And that's where our second card comes in.
Okay.
Called the cleansing flames.
Okay.
It's about what needs to be released, what needs to be purified.
Right.
Maybe even totally incinerated to make space for that growth.
Wow, incinerated. Okay.
Yeah. And leave it to the sassy deck to,
Yeah.
to deliver the truth bomb here. Right. It says, stop holding on to that dead weight.
Oof. Yeah, that one hits home for me.
Right.
Because sometimes, it's we're clinging to things old habits or beliefs or even people that are, they're really not serving us anymore.
Right.
And it's just so tough to move forward when you're carrying all that baggage.
Absolutely. And it's not about blame or anything, right?
Right.
It's about awareness.
Okay.
And what I think is so fascinating is how this idea of release, takes on all these different shades of meaning in the other decks, right?
All right, okay.
So the Thanksgiving deck, for instance, it presents us with the Harvest Moon card,
Okay.
which is actually the equivalent of the Death
The
card.
death card.
Right.
Gotta admit, that one, it usually makes me a little
Yeah.
nervous when that one comes up.
Totally understandable. But remember, in tarot death, it very rarely means physical death.
Okay.
Instead, it's really this powerful symbol of transformation.
Okay.
So think of the Harvest Moon, right?
Okay.
It's the end of a cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also marks the beginning of something new. It's about letting go of what's no longer nourishing us, so we can
Right.
reap that abundance of what's to come.
So it's less about an ending,
Right.
and more about making space
Yeah.
for new beginnings, new growth.
Exactly.
And if we tie that back to that Thanksgiving theme,
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like saying goodbye to the old year,
Yeah, yeah, well, hey,
welcoming the harvest with, that sense of gratitude.
precisely. It's like acknowledging that
Mhm.
even in letting go,
Mm.
there's beauty and even celebration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, so the Thanksgiving deck is giving us that. And what about the
So the traditional deck, it kind of echoes this need for release,
okay.
but it does it through a slightly different lens.
Okay.
Gives us the Five of Swords,
Okay.
which often points to conflict, loss,
Mm.
and this real need to surrender to something that's bigger than just our egos.
Like that internal struggle
Yes.
of like wanting to hold on to our own righteousness. Even if it's causing us pain,
Yeah.
like that need to be right can be
Hmm.
like such heavy baggage to carry around.
Exactly. And the Five of Swords, it's really asking us to examine these battles that we're fighting, right?
Yeah.
Both the internal and the external ones.
Yeah.
Are they truly worth the energy that we're like pouring into them?
Mm.
Or could releasing our grip on them open us up to like a greater sense of peace, a greater sense of possibility?
Okay.
So we've talked about, igniting that inner spark,
Right.
letting go of what's no longer serving us.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we like keep that flame burning bright?
Right.
Especially when,
Yeah.
when life throws those curveballs at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
The inevitable curveballs.
It always does, doesn't it?
It does, it does. So
Yeah.
our final card here,
Okay.
this is where I think it's going to offer us some guidance on that.
Okay, great.
So this card, it's all about that eternal flame, right? That connection to something greater than ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And no surprise here, the Sassy deck, it keeps it real. Basically says, your ancestors didn't go through all that shit for you to just sit on your couch.
I love it.
I-
It's like, come on, get up, do something.
It's like a pep talk, but it's like a cosmic pep talk.
yes,
It's like
exactly.
it's reminding us that we come from this
Yeah.
long line of survivors, right? Of dreamers, of people who fought for something better. They
Right.
paved the way, and now it's our turn to to
Right.
do something meaningful, something important.
It's like, they didn't go through all of that for nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's our turn.
It's like we have a legacy here.
Right, exactly. It's about potential.
Yeah.
Like, you were saying pressure.
Hmm.
It's not about pressure,
Right.
but it is about the potential that's there.
Yeah. And it makes you think about how we're defining like ancestor too.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Right. Because maybe it's family, but maybe it's, cultural heroes or even just, those who inspired us in some way,
Mhm.
even if we've never met them.
Right, like whose shoulders are you standing on?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What are some ways that you think we can tap into that wellspring of wisdom
Right.
in a way that like feels relevant, to our modern lives?
Right. Well, I think it starts with curiosity,
Yeah.
like exploring your own family history, absolutely, but also paying attention to like those gut feelings, those themes that you see recurring in your life,
Right.
the values that you hold dear.
Hmm.
Those often have roots that are way deeper than we realize.
Wow.
Maybe you're drawn to certain art forms. Maybe you feel this like pull towards fighting for certain causes. Maybe it's just a certain way of moving through the world.
Right.
Like those are whispers from the past in a way,
I love that Whispers in the Past. It's such a
guiding us forward.
that's a beautiful way to frame that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because thinking about this idea of ancestral wisdom,
Mhm.
the Thanksgiving deck, it kind of approaches this with the Sacred Pipe card,
Okay.
which connects to the Hierophant in the more traditional deck.
Okay.
So I'm curious,
Yeah.
what's the significance there?
Well, the sacred pipe, it's all about like tradition, right?
Okay.
It's about ritual. It's about that sense of connection to something so much larger than ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
And it's about really like honoring the wisdom that's been passed down,
Right.
through generations, and recognizing that we're all a part of a lineage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so much older than just us.
It's like understanding our place in this
yeah.
grand tapestry of human experience,
Yeah, exactly.
And then the traditional deck with the Star card,
Yes.
that symbol of hope, that symbol of inspiration.
Mm.
I love how this is like tying everything together.
It really does. And, the star, it's about spiritual renewal, right?
Yeah.
It's about finding that light,
Yeah.
even in like the darkest of times.
Mhm.
And it reminds us that even though like our ancestors may be gone, physically,
Right.
Their guidance is still there. Their
Yeah.
love is still there. Their energy,
Yeah.
it's all still with us. And it's like,
Yeah.
stars illuminating the path ahead of us.
That I'm getting chills. Like that image,
Right.
that's so powerful.
That is powerful, yeah.
And it's this reminder, this whole reading. It's just been such a powerful reminder that, we're not alone
Right.
on this journey,
Yeah.
that we have all of this like strength and wisdom
Within us, yeah.
within us,
Yeah, just waiting.
waiting to be tapped into.
Exactly. And it really, like, it all comes back to that final message, right? You are the keeper of the flame.
Yeah.
And it's not just this abstract spiritual thing.
Right.
It's in your everyday life.
Right.
How are you going to nurture that fire?
Right.
How are you going to let it, like, guide your actions, your choices, the way you move through the world?
It's such a powerful question to end on, and this deep dive. It's been more than just like, interpreting these cards.
Right.
It's really about igniting a spark,
Yes.
within each of us.
Yes, exactly.
And understanding that, like, spiritual awakening,
Yeah.
letting go of the things that are holding us back, connecting with our own ancestral legacy. These aren't just like woo-woo concepts,
Right.
These are pathways to, like,
It's about living a good life.
exactly, to living a more purposeful life and a more fulfilling life.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
This was fantastic. I really appreciate it.
This was fun.
Yeah, definitely. Until next time.
Sounds good.
Okay, so get this right. We are diving deep into symbolism and self-discovery today, folks. You sent in this eagle feather spread tarot reading, and wow, it's all about truth, integrity, reaching your potential. Have you worked with this spread before? I got to say, it's a powerful one.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating here is how this spread uses cards from different tarot decks. You've got the Sassy deck, the Thanksgiving deck, and even a classic Rider-Waite deck all mixed in. This layered approach, it gives us a really seriously nuanced perspective, I think.
It's like getting 3 different takes on the same question.
Oh, well.
Okay, so speaking of different takes, that first card, the Vision, it's all about a hidden truth, right? And this one doesn't hold back. It's giving stop lying to yourself vibes for sure. Then we've got the Clear Sky and Judgment cards, heavy stuff.
Right. And that first card, it often represents the core issue or that truth that really needs your attention right now. And when it comes to the idea of truth in a tarot reading, it's not always about like some juicy secret being revealed. It's more about, confronting a truth you've maybe been avoiding, right? That aha moment, which, let's be real, can be way more revealing and maybe even more uncomfortable than any gossip.
Which, let's be real, can be way harder than someone else dropping truth bombs.
Exactly. And, thinking about those other cards, that imagery with clear sky, that eagle soaring above the clouds, it suggests that facing this truth, however tough, will ultimately lead you to a clearer perspective, wouldn't you say?
Oh, 100%.
Like, it's about gaining that eagle's eye view of your own life. And notice how the Judgment card, it isn't really about punishment, but more about awakening. It's a call to kind of ditch the denial and step into a more, conscious way of being.
Okay, deep breaths, everyone. This is getting intense. So we've uncovered this hidden truth. We're like, all right, got to face it. But then there's the whole courage to act on it, right? That brings us to the second card, the Wing of Honor. This one feels like it's all about integrity, which sounds amazing in theory, but maybe a little daunting in practice.
It can be, because this card is like a direct challenge to do what's right, even when it's not the easy way out. And the do what's right, not what's easy message from that Sassy deck, it really doesn't mess around.
Oh, I feel that. And just visually, I'm picturing like an eagle feather.
Yeah.
It's light and easily swayed by the wind and everything. Yet it's part of something so strong and majestic. Makes me think about how our choices, even the small ones, contribute to something so much bigger.
That's a great point. And that's where the Strength card comes in. It's about aligning your actions with your values, just like that eagle feather symbolizes honor and that connection to something greater. This card reminds us that sometimes being true to yourself takes serious guts.
Right. It's that whole what would I do if no one was watching anything. Right.
Exactly. It's not about, physical power or anything, but about the inner resilience to stay true to yourself, especially when things get tough. And that's true strength.
Okay, so far we've faced some hard truths. We're committed to doing the right thing. But where do we go from here on this journey of self-discovery?
Well, this is where things get really exciting. The third card, the Flight, it's all about expanding your vision and daring to, dream bigger. This is where the spread really takes off. It really does. This card, it's basically giving you a permission slip to like level up your life, and go after those big dreams, the ones that might seem impossible right now. The message is so clear. Stop playing small. It's like you are capable of so much more than you realize.
Okay, that is seriously inspiring.
Yeah.
It's like this card is saying, hey, you've got this incredible life ahead of you, so just like stop holding yourself back with all that doubt. And the imagery here just adds to it. We've got the horizon, which feels so vast and full of possibilities. And then there's the star,
Yeah.
which makes me think about like following your own North Star,
Yeah.
that inner compass that's guiding you towards your true potential.
Precisely. See, the third position in a spread, it often points towards the potential outcome or that energy you can step into. And this is where I think that eagle imagery we were talking about before becomes really powerful. Think about an eagle soaring high above the earth. It has this incredible perspective, right? Able to see so much more than what's right in front of it.
This is true.
That's what this card is encouraging you to do. Broaden your horizons and see that bigger picture of your life and what you want to create in it. It's about trusting your instincts and, yeah, taking those leaps of faith even when you're not totally sure where you'll land.
Wow, that connection to the eagle is amazing. This whole reading has given me so much to think about already. And speaking of bigger picture thinking, the overall message of this spread talks about honoring the wisdom of your ancestors. That really resonates with me, but to be honest, I don't know that much about my family history. So, what could that look like in a practical sense?
That's such a great question. And you're definitely not alone in that. Honoring your ancestors, it doesn't always have to mean knowing all their names and their whole life stories, although that can be a really beautiful thing to explore if you're drawn to it, for sure. It's more about just recognizing that you carry their strength, their resilience, and even their dreams within you.
So it's less about genealogy research and more about tapping into this wellspring of inherited wisdom that's already a part of us.
Exactly. It's about understanding that you're part of something much bigger than yourself. This long line of people who have overcome their own challenges, experienced incredible joy, and, ultimately paved the way for you to be here today.
I love that. It's like this invisible support system cheering you on from the sidelines. But how do we actually connect with that? How do we tap into it?
Well, you can tap into that ancestral energy in so many ways. It might be through spending time in nature, connecting with your cultural heritage, or even just taking a moment to reflect on the qualities you admire in the people who came before you.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's like even if we don't know all the exact stories, our ancestors' strength is part of what allows us to face our own challenges and pursue those things we're passionate about.
Exactly. It's a beautiful way of connecting with the past, but drawing strength for right now and for the future.
This whole deep dive, I'm telling you, so insightful. We've gone from uncovering those hidden truths to like acting with integrity to embracing our full potential and connecting with the wisdom of our ancestors on top of it all. It's a lot, but it feels more like this, I don't know, journey of empowerment than just another tarot card reading.
Yeah. It is empowering, isn't it? It's like this reading is less about fortune telling and more like a roadmap to a more, authentic and fulfilling life. And it all comes back to that eagle imagery we've been talking about.
Totally. And speaking of, the reading ends on such a powerful note, right? Trust in your vision, honor the wisdom of your ancestors, and take flight. That whole image of flight, it's been woven throughout this entire spread. Makes me wonder, what is it in your life that feels like it needs to take flight? What dreams or aspirations have you been, keeping grounded?
It's a powerful question, isn't it? What are you truly passionate about and what might be holding you back from, really going for it?
This deep dive, it's really highlighted that sometimes the scariest thing isn't even the truth itself, but what we choose to do with it. It's about having that courage to acknowledge what we really want deep down, and then, taking those first steps, however small, towards actually making it happen.
Couldn't agree more. Just recognizing those limiting beliefs and fears we all have, that's the first step. Then it's about choosing to trust in yourself, trust your vision, and yeah, even trust in that wisdom of those who came before you.
So maybe it's time to all ask ourselves, what needs to take flight in our lives? And what can we do, even starting today, to, make it happen?